and we are going to be doing our Indiana preview here with Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, who hosts the Indiana Hoosiers live at the Voice of College Football. Indiana is favored by 14 to win this game, 3:30 Saturday on CBS. We got Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports and the Voice of College Football. Jeffrey, thanks for coming back onto the show. It was great having you last year. You're back, and now you're running the Indiana channel. How about that?
Appreciate it, John. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely enjoying doing the Indiana at the Voice of College Football channel. Appreciate the opportunity. And also, it's the perfect year to do it. I mean, Indiana starting out 9-0. I mean, it's like completely different than last year. Last year we were talking when you invited me on. Thanks for inviting me on last year. But we were talking like, hey, can Indiana keep it close? Can they just not get destroyed? And now this year we're like, Indiana favored by 14, and it's crazy. It's just a completely different season, completely new year, and definitely excited about the game. I'm still a little nervous because, I mean, Michigan's Michigan, but Indiana's looking really good.
Yeah, no, it's like you joined. We did the Indiana show, and then Indiana just started winning. It's like you were a lucky charm for the Indiana Hoosiers.
I don't know if I was or not. I've always been talking highly about him for years. Mark was always laughing when I would come on and defend Tom Allen. He's like, Tom Allen stinks, Jeffrey. What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, he headbutted a player. He broke a tooth for the team. Come on. Like, yeah. you gotta give him his flowers. But it did fall apart. It was tough. But I still think that Tom Allen, without him, I don't know if we'd still be here, though. I think Tom Allen's couple of years of success did give Indiana, the hope that we can succeed, we can have success. And honestly, what Indiana's doing this year, what Vanderbilt's doing this year is showcase even what Kansas has done the past few years. Any program can win if you put the effort into it. You get the right coach, the right players, any team can win. Maybe you can't be consistently as good as Alabama or Ohio State, but you can win if you put the commitment to football. And Indiana's finally putting the commitment into football. And like me and TJ talked about earlier tonight, they got to keep Curt Cignetti because all that goes away if he goes to another program. They have to keep him.
Yeah, keep him one more year.
Keep him forever.
One more year, and then Michigan would come calling. And
we want Cignetti forever, but we'll see.
Yeah. So because of Cignetti's success this year, undefeated, I believe this is the first time in Indiana's history you've gone 9-0. And now
Absolutely.
You're favored by 14. Obviously, Michigan is traveling to your house for this game. I mean, what do you think this matchup is going to be like, just from a high level? Like, what's your initial thoughts when you think about this matchup here?
Well, I mean, I just look at the fact that, again, it's unprecedented territory for Indiana being favored by 14. I mean, I'm looking at that banner, and I still just can't believe it. Indiana's favored by 14 against Michigan. They're supposed to win this game. This is not even a toss-up. Indiana is supposed to win. But I still just can't overlook that yellow Michigan symbol, man. That brand power of Michigan. It's the biggest team Indiana's played all season long by far. I thought, like Nebraska, I thought that game was going to be huge when Indiana played them, and then they just completely destroyed them. And now Nebraska's falling apart. Might not even make a bowl game if they lose out, which would be insane like they did last year. But, I mean, Michigan's best team they face based off talent. The talent is insane. Indiana has less talent than Michigan, but Indiana's playing so much better than Michigan this season. That's the difference. Like me and TJ talked about earlier, like Sharon Moore, he is nowhere near the coach Curt Cignetti is. Nowhere near the coach. Like, if you flip coaches, yeah, Michigan would be way better off right now, even with the rosters the way that they are. Even with Michigan having a terrible quarterback situation, I think Curt Cignetti would still be doing a lot better at Michigan. But I think that all Indiana has to do is just keep playing the way they've been playing. Just play fundamental football. Don't turn it over, and treat Michigan like they've treated everybody else. Don't get overwhelmed by the fact that this is Michigan. I mean, I was nervous when they played Nebraska. So I'm like, Nebraska's a brand. It's on big new kickoffs there. And then when they play Washington, game days there, they didn't let that get to their head. So now this game's on CBS. I mean, the way that they've played and they haven't let these games get to them, I don't think they're going to let Michigan get to them. Michigan's going to have to outplay Indiana to win. I don't think Indiana's going to play poorly. If Michigan's going to win, they're going to have to outplay IU.
Yeah, TJ, what's kind of your first thoughts on this matchup?
Indiana's for real. And I've been saying that since like week 2. You know, I've been telling our community, pay attention to Indiana. They're legit. Kurt Sonetti's no joke. I think he is. And I was telling Jeffrey here on the show earlier that, you know, Josh Pate calls Michigan the last great college football team, you know, because Michigan played as a team. You know, they had the culture, they had the physicality, they had these players who some of them did play above their ranking level, right? And you had the excellent coach, and they were just fundamentally sound in all 3 phases. They were just a fantastic college football team. Well, quite honestly, Indiana is the same exact thing with lesser talent, right? So in terms of 3-phased, fundamentally sound football, excellent coach, players playing above their talent level, it's insane. And if anyone has not watched Indiana, you'll find out this weekend, because they're a hell of a team, man. And you know, that said, it's still FU. You know, we're coming for your neck. But no, I mean, at the same time, dude, Indiana, I do have respect for Indiana. And you know, I was telling Jeffrey in the show prior, like the weekend, and I know this is Michigan Indiana week, but I'm looking ahead. When Indiana plays Ohio State, I'm an Indiana fan. Period. Looking forward to that game.
Hey,
Like I said, I'm not even thinking about that game. I honestly am not. I know you are. I know you want it to happen. Steven Cherry and the other Ohio State guys don't. But I just hope Indiana plays fundamental football and can get their second win over Michigan since the 80s. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it's on the road. Like, this is gonna be even tougher. That, and not only that, like what I was telling, you know, Jeffrey as well, like it's on the road. It's gonna be sold out.
Indiana's crowd is legit.
And just so our fan base is aware, Sonetti's gonna try and make a statement. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like if anyone saw his Big Ten Media Day and you see his approach to these bigger schools, he wants to show that he is a big dog. He wants to show that he can play with the big dogs. And I guarantee he's going to come for blood. Now, it's up to Michigan to respond, because here's the reality. We have more talent than Indiana. We have far more talent than Indiana. But our coaches are not on the level of Indiana. And
Absolutely.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And they play sound fundamental football where we play sloppy, unsound, lack of fundamental football. And that's really the polar opposites of what we're seeing. And it's gonna be, I'll tell you now, it's gonna be funny to watch like a really well coached team versus. Although I'll say, listen, there have been bright spots. Offensive line's looking better. Davis Warren's looking good. But all right, we'll talk about Indiana's offense and get into Michigan's defense. But like at the same time, like it's an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it. But I think Indiana's a damn good team.
Yeah. For sure. And you look at the quarterback situation, very different from when we were talking Sorsby last year. So Curtis Rourke, senior, he has 2,204 passing yards in the year, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks, and a 91.6 QBR, second in the country.
Yep.
Second in the country QBR.
John, they have the number 1 offense in the Big Ten. They're averaging, what is it, 40? Let me get this. It's 46.9 points a game, something like that. I had it earlier, but it's insane. What this offense is like 10 points per game higher than Ohio State. So Ohio State's second in the Big Ten, and they are 10 points per game behind Indiana right now. And they both teams have played nobody. Although Ohio State did just play Penn State, but James Franklin's a clown. We all know it. You know, so you know, in my opinion, like we're going against a legitimate ass problem this weekend, especially considering our pass defense is ranked in the 120s. So here it is, 46.6 points per game for Indiana. Ohio State is second in the Big Ten at 35.3. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say, well, Indiana's played nobody. Who the hell is Ohio State played outside of Penn State? Nobody.
And Oregon, yeah.
And actually, I was wrong. Oregon. Oh, no, I'm not wrong. I'm sorry. So Ohio State was 37.8, not 35.
Mm. The thing is that when you asked about, Curtis Rourke's play with 19 touchdowns, 3 picks, the thing is Brendan Sorsby hasn't even been bad this year for Cincinnati. He's been worse, obviously, than Rourke, but it just shows you that when you actually have a good team around you, you can be good. I thought Sorsby actually was solid last year. I really did. With what he had to deal with a garbage O-line, no wide receiver talent, no running back talent, and he did what he did. It was pretty impressive. And him going to Cincinnati, like, they're a decent team this year. So he wasn't bad. Rourke's better. But if Rourke was dealing with what Sorsby had to deal with last year, he would not be putting up these stats at all.
You want to hear the Cignetti difference?
Mm-hmm.
So here was Rourke at Ohio last year. He had a 63.5 completion percentage. This year he's at 73.3. He's already up 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Last year he had 2,200 yards all year. This year he's already at 2,200 yards.
Mm.
Last year he had 11 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. This year it's 19-3.
Mm-hmm.
The player is taking like 2 steps from where he used to be.
He was better in 2022, though, because he had an injury at the end of the 2022 season. He tore his ACL, and so I think that's a big reason he had a worse 2023.
He still wasn't even at 70% completion.
No, he wasn't. But he won MAC Player of the Year in 2022. He was better that year.
Okay. Yeah, 25-4 touchdown to interception ratio.
Mm-hmm. So he was good before. That injury set him back. It's the same thing with Penix. When he tore his ACL at Indiana at the end of the 2020 season, he sucked in 2021. Bad O-line, but still, he was really good before that. And then he goes to Washington and he does well. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for a guy to get, back on his feet after an injury. But I do agree with you. I mean, Rourke's way better in Indiana, but that 2022 season at Ohio, he was really good. I think they beat Iowa State that year, too.
Right. So obviously, from the Michigan side, that, the defense obviously has been missing some pieces. I don't know if it's been said anything about Will Johnson or the corner situation. But it's not a great time to be down some of your best players, with Indiana looking as good as they are. So not a great matchup there. And the other one's doesn't look much better for Michigan. If anything, maybe the other way around, but we'll talk about it.
Well, the one other thing with Indiana, too, on their offense, sorry, before we get to that, is also that Indiana's run game is really good as well. Yeah. Indiana has a really good run game. I mean, their top 2 running backs are combining for over 1,200 yards, over 20 touchdowns. It's a machine. Indiana's running game is a machine. And that's the big difference that Indiana did not have with Michael Penix. Imagine Michael Penix with a run game at Indiana and a better O-line. Indiana is dangerous. Penix was fantastic, but he never had a good run game at Indiana. He never had a good O-line. That's what's making Rourke have so much success, just because he's not having to do it all. He's got a good running game next to him. He's got better offensive linemen, and the receivers are very good. So I think Rourke's great. Penix was better. Penix just didn't have the support Rourke had. It pains me because I wish we would have been able to see what Penix could do at Indiana with what Rourke has right now. It would have been so much different.
Yeah, run game is strong, and it just looks like a dominant offense that you guys have. Straight up, just stomping people. Stomping what I think is a competent Nebraska team. I don't think that they're amazing, but I think that they're competent. Their quarterback's going to be really good in future years. He's a freshman. He makes some mistakes, but Indiana just stomps him.
Stevie Scott regressed every year, Texas Wolverine. I will say that. He regressed every year. So I've watched Indiana every season since 2015, so I know. Getting called out here that I don't know my stuff.
Oh, yes. Jeffrey is a top tier analyst, everybody. He's been around here longer than a lot of us. And he knows his stuff. That's why Mark Rogers has picked him to be the host of the Indiana Hoosiers Live here at the Voice of College Football. And now we're going to switch over to defense, Indiana's defense versus Michigan offense. Obviously, Michigan has found somewhat of a quarterback, as you know. So there's obviously, I think that there are going to be some things that for your defense to think about. But again, as dominant as you've been on that side of the ball, on the other side of the ball, keeping I just mentioned Nebraska, but keeping that Nebraska offense to 7 points, Washington to 17, Michigan State to 10. It seems like it's improved the last couple of games on how you're holding back teams. So what would you say is kind of or some key people or some key things to look for in that matchup?
Definitely Mikel Kamara. I mean, that guy is a beast on the D-line, leading the Big Ten in sacks. Not an Ohio State or a Michigan player. An Indiana player is leading the Big Ten in sacks, which is insane. And he's up there in tackles for loss. He might be number one, but he's up in the top 5 or 10 in tackles for losses. He's insane. He's a fantastic player and should be playing on Sundays. I've been looking at draft boards. I know we're not even close to that, but I'm like, where are the Indiana players on the draft boards? Like, Rourke's not there. Mikel Kamara is not there. I'm like, what's going on? Mikel Kamara is really good. I love D'Angelo Pons in the secondary. He's a problem. Like, I know Will Johnson is more talented. Like, Michigan, just way more talented than Indiana. But D'Angelo Pons at 5'9" is a problem at DB. Those 2 picks against Washington were insane, especially the one where he had to go up on a 6'3" player and he fought for the ball and took it away at the peak. I mean, like, he jumped so high to get that thing. And Indiana's linebacking core, one thing you can say about Indiana, the one constant that Indiana has had in the last 6, 7, 8 years, they've always had a good linebacker, whether it's Aaron Casey, Cam Jones, Micah McFadden. Well, now Indiana has Aiden Fisher and Jalen Walker, 2 great linebackers. Aiden Fisher is like up there in the top 3 or to 5 in the Big Ten in total tackles. Just an overall fundamentally sound defense. Not a bunch of really talented guys, but they are playing fundamental defense. And the problem for Michigan's offense is that, and I know you guys know Michigan better than me, but when I look at their team, it all comes down to Kalel Mullings and Colston Loveland. It's 2 guys, whereas Indiana has a lot of weapons on their offense and a lot more weapons on defense if Michigan's not healthy. If Michigan's healthy, then this is a different conversation, but they're not healthy. So, and still Michigan's more talented, but Indiana's playing better. They're way more well coached. I mean, the thing is, it's not just Cignetti. Everybody's like Cignetti, and trust me, Cignetti's fantastic, but he also has great coordinators that he brought over from James Madison. All these guys are going to be coaching elsewhere eventually.
Right.
That's another problem I'm worried about for Indiana. If Cignetti stays at IU, if they lose these coordinators, how are they going to adjust? Because that's what killed Tom Allen, because he lost the good coordinators he had. Kalen DeBoer was at Indiana. He lost him. He left, and then they tanked on offense. So Indiana's coordinators are great, too, on defense. They got great defensive coordinators, linebackers coaches, safeties coaches. They're all great. It's a machine. And that's why they're so great. It's the perfect blend of just good enough players that believe and a great coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree here. And one of the things that's very interesting about this matchup is, guess who has the number 1 run defense in the Big Ten? Indiana, which is Michigan's strength, right? So you'd say, well, then I guess we probably need to counter with passing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have the number 7 ranked defense in the Big Ten, which happens to be our weak point. Now, Davis Warren has looked good, has looked better. He shows improvement. So
way better than Jack Tuttle.
Yeah. So my hope is that Michigan can, because I feel like we're going to have a tough time running the ball. I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to have a tough time running the ball. Look, last week against Oregon, Oregon's good. Oregon's good. We know this. But Oregon's run defense is not even close to Indiana's run defense statistically. Mm-hmm. Now, some will say, well, look at Indiana's schedule. Look at Ohio State's schedule minus Penn State. And I guess Oregon, too. Like, we'll give them Oregon. 2 guys, whatever. But at the same time, they're a good freaking team. So what is Michigan's approach going to have to be? Davis Warren's going to have to do what he did against Oregon and make plays. And he did make plays. And I do think it's possible that with Davis Warren, you can actually keep Indiana a little honest. And you should be able to get some running plays. Now, what's discouraging for me as a Michigan fan, and I know you guys all know this, Kalel Mullins has regressed the last 2 weeks. He's averaging like 2.8 yards a carry. It's something like that. And Donovan Edwards, as we know, is inconsistent. So there's some concern here. I'm going to be honest, like going into this game, I don't see where Michigan can exploit this Indiana team. Not offensively, not defensively. Don't get me wrong, though. There's ways, and we will get into it in the three keys of the games. There's ways that Michigan can attack this game and get a victory. I do believe we could, but I think a lot is on Indiana's side. It being at home, home field. Cignetti wants to make a statement. They're locked in. We are the hunted, guys. We are not the hunter. We are the hunted right now. And it's an interesting situation for Michigan to be in. And I know there's some people in the comments like it's Indiana. I'm telling you, this team is no joke.
It's almost getting frustrating at this point because the thing is nobody's acknowledging how well that they've played. If Indiana lost this game, it still doesn't mean that they're bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what will happen. If they lose, everybody's gonna be like, Indiana's bad. They're terrible. No, they're not. This is the best Indiana team I've ever seen. Better than the Penix team because it's a complete team.
If Indiana loses this game, you have Ohio State to show the world it's real. And make everybody love you. Because everybody will love you. Everyone in the Big Ten is going to root for you that day.
Sure.
You know, and if you guys make the playoffs, like I said on your other show, if you guys make the playoffs and like, you know, John, how like sometimes like people are like, oh, I'm not a Big Ten guy. I don't root for Big Ten teams in the bowl games. And if Indiana makes the playoffs, I think everyone in the Big Ten is going to root for Indiana, bro. Unless you're like Purdue.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
why wouldn't Purdue root for Indiana at this point? I mean, they got nothing to even talk about right now.
But don't they? But
they're where Indiana was last year.
Hold up, isn't Purdue your like biggest rival?
Yeah, Indiana and Purdue are the biggest rivals, but I mean, like,
why would they root for you? They're not rooting for you.
Well, I'm an Indiana fan, and I was rooting for Purdue when they had the good season they had a couple with Aiden O'Connell. I was happy for them. Like, go Purdue. Well, I mean, I don't like Purdue, but I mean, I wasn't like against them. Indiana was terrible, so what? You can't talk. It's like Auburn fans trashing Alabama right now. It's because they lost to Vandy. Auburn sucks. What do you got to even say?
Yeah, I don't know, but like I'm just saying, I think Indiana's a very unique story. I think it's
you're
fun.
Good. I just thought it was funny.
I just hope you guys keep him for one more year and we poach his ass.
That's all. Just don't want that to happen.
Hey, there will be probably some calls to agents. But
Indiana's NIL support. I brought up the comment earlier. I'd have to go back, but I brought up for brief. But Texas Wolverine made the comment that Indiana is a sleeping giant. They absolutely are a sleeping giant because of the fact right here. Michigan fan but graduated from IU, biggest alumni base, huge NIL potential, top 20 in endowment, sleeping giant. They have the second largest alumni base in the country. And they got tons of guys that got buttloads of money. Let's just say it like that. They got tons of money. And the thing is now the fans care. They're showing up.
You would need Cignetti to rally the troops. And it's in revenue sharing starts July of 2025. So it's going to be interesting to see if Cignetti is trying to build something in Indiana or use it as a stepping stone to be determined. We'll find out.
All right. So we are now on to that part where everybody gives their keys to victory. And we'll start with Jeffrey. I asked you this question last year. It seemed pretty far-fetched. I'm asking you this question this year, and it seems very realistic. What do you think is going to need to happen for Indiana to win this game on Saturday?
Honestly, I think for Indiana to be able to win this game is they just have to keep playing the way that they have all season. They just have to keep playing the way they have all season. Do not look at Michigan's, logo on the helmet and get scared, nervous. Intimidated is the perfect word. You can't get intimidated by Michigan. Michigan is the more talented team, but they are not playing like it. Indiana has all the momentum. You've got a bye between this game and Ohio State. You do not even have to think about Ohio State. You have a bye between these games. It's all on this game. Everybody in the country, I don't know what other games are on at 3:30 on Saturday, but everybody's going to be focused on this game. It's on CBS, just like the Nebraska game on Big New Kickoff and just like the Washington game on Game Day and all that. People were focused on them. They didn't waver. They played great, especially against Nebraska. I think they would have probably been able to beat Washington by more. With Rourke, with Jackson, the offense struggled. That's why they only won by 14. They probably won by more. But I think if they just play the way they have all season long, do not let Michigan's, aura get to them of being a great team historically and even last year, then I think Indiana will be just fine, because Michigan's offense is not great and Indiana's defense is great, and Indiana's offense is great and Michigan's defense is really good. But to me, it's trending down slightly, because when you start losing a lot of games, your defense just isn't going to play as hard. It's just the way that it works. So I think Indiana will be fine as long as they just play fundamental football. And you want me to go in and make my prediction?
Well, TJ, if you wanted to give your keys first.
We do keys of the games, then we hit predictions after. Okay. So my keys of the game is kidnap Kurt Cinetti. I'm just kidding. We got to pressure the quarterback. If we let O'Rourke get comfortable, it could be a long day for the boys. But if we can dial up some pressure, good pressure, not crazy-ass blitzes that leave us vulnerable, like legitimate four-man pressure, we have a chance in this game. We have got to win the turnover battle. If we are going to win this game, we have to win the turnover battle. Davis Warren played really good last week with limiting his turnovers. No interceptions. Played much better than he did against what was the game where he threw those three crazy? Was it against Arkansas State maybe? I think it was. So just play clean football. We got to play clean football. And then here's a big key for me. We want to win this game. You do not let them score 7. You only give up 3. You give up 3. You pressure the quarterback. You win the turnover battle. Michigan can't come away with a victory in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I give both. So for Indiana to win, I think, like you said, Jeffrey, I think they need to keep playing their style of football. They're physical. They're tough. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. They can do all the things that Michigan would like to be able to do. And so I think they keep doing what they're doing and play disciplined football. Rip has been a little.
I don't understand, John. Michigan lost to Washington.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Rip, I think. Yeah, Michigan has lost some really.
Didn't mean to interrupt you with that. I'm sorry.
No. For Michigan to win, I think they need to play really strong defense. Maybe pick off. Get an interception or 2, turnover battle, like you said. And Davis Warren needs to do what he did last week, but who needs to help him out? The wide receivers. Can't have drops. Can't have these receivers need to get their separation. They just need to do a better job of that. Maybe you find a wide receivers coach who can actually coach and bring them in for this couple of days, bring them in for this game, because Ron Bellamy certainly can't do it. So that's the keys there for both. And then I guess for predictions, Jeffrey, what's your score prediction on this? Who's winning? What's the score?
I agree with your statement about having to hold Indiana to field goals. Can't let them score touchdowns, because like I said on Indiana Voice of College Football with TJ earlier tonight, if Indiana cracks 30, they're going to win. Michigan, like TJ said, has not cracked 30 all season. Indiana's cracking 30 every game, basically. I mean, you just look, everybody they play, they're just getting 30, 40, 50. They're destroying teams. So if Indiana gets 30, they're going to win. I think Michigan's going to keep Indiana in check for a lot of the game. I think it's going to be close. I think Michigan will fight hard, because there is a little bit there where you say, well, Indiana's they're not great, they're overrated or whatever, and we want to beat them down. I think they'll keep it close, but I do think at the end of the day, Indiana will win 31-17. I think that Michigan's going to struggle to score enough points to win. And I think Indiana's offense will be able to get to that threshold that they need to get the win. I mean, if Michigan won, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I know a lot of people are saying I'm being too arrogant and cocky or anything. I'm nervous as heck about this game. I've been nervous about every Michigan State scared me. I was like, okay, we're down 10-0. Oh no, we're going to end up blowing it. Then they win 47-10. Kurt Cinetti's given me the confidence to believe in this team, because I've been nervous all year, and I'm still nervous about this game. If it wasn't for Cignetti, I probably still wouldn't even pick them to win. But Michigan's looked bad enough, and Indiana's looked good enough. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. But you never know. They could lose. But I'm going IU by 14. I think they'll be all right.
Wow. All right. Putting a statement out there. TJ, what about you?
Yeah, so I think Indiana's a really good team. I've respected Kurt Cinetti since his a lot of people made fun of him for his Big Ten media comments. I actually thought I respect a man who calls a shot, and then it's up to you to back it up, and he's done it. And I absolutely love his little quote to recruits where, what's your recruiting pitch? I win. Google me.
Google me. That was so great.
I respect that shit, man. I do, because listen, there's one thing to be cocky and can't back it up. There's another thing to be confident and back it up. And he's confident. He backs it up. I'm telling you guys, he's coming to make a statement. I hope the boys pull it out. Hope they fucking expose Indiana. I really do. But I do have Indiana winning the game 34-24. I want to be wrong. I hope to be wrong. But I do think Indiana's a damn good team. And I also think Indiana's going to give Ohio State a hell of a game. And I actually think Indiana could. No, Steven, you're going to be down bad when Indiana waxes your ass because they're going to beat Ohio State. I'm going to tell you guys, Indiana's
I think TJ needs to come on over to the Indiana channel. Come on.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Hey, the week you play, I'll tell you what. Now. Jeffrey, if you beat us this weekend, you got the week you guys play against Ohio State, I'll join your show.
All right. There you go.
We'll talk that ish, bro.
Guest appearances being discussed on air, and we are rolling here on this very special Tuesday. And I am going to give it 24-17 Indiana. Sadly, Indiana, it's a clean sweep across.
Thank you, John.
Tough, but look, we've been calling our shots this year. It would be great to be proven wrong, but them's the breaks there. Jeffrey, always great to have you on the shows. As we always like to do, final thought for the audience, and then where people can find you, including on Indiana Live at the Voice of College Football.
Oh, I appreciate it, John. Thanks for having me on. Love the chat. The people going crazy. They're not used to seeing Indiana win. I'm not used to seeing Indiana win. So that's why I've been an Alabama fan since I was 3 years old. So I know what winning looks like. But for whatever reason, just started rooting for Indiana a few years ago, and they were really bad. And just it's a team I've always felt bad for, and now they're winning. Now they're ranked over Alabama, which is insane. My mind's still blown with that. So definitely appreciate you guys having me on. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports, where I talk sports every single day, or at least I try to. You can find me over there, college football, college basketball, NFL, and NBA. You're not going to want to miss any of that, especially if you're a fan of pro sports, because I know college football, Voice of College Football is all about football. But definitely,
we do basketball.
Sports. Appreciate it. The thing is with basketball, I was actually going to ask you about that because I can do Indiana basketball content as well. I mean,
you
I didn't know. So definitely. So I didn't know if we could do that.
Jeff. Do some Indiana basketball. You need to.
All right.
Although Dusty May is gonna he's gonna own Indiana this year. Let it be known.
Oh snap! Austin's in here.
Come on, Austin. Come on.
He's going Mish. He's calling his shot too. Sports Talk with Austin. Obviously, they do a lot of shows together and have in the past, and that's how I met them all. Was the Young Guns, and they were doing that show. Told him that Braum would be okay. Braum, you'll have a good coach with Braum. Don't worry about it. And it turned out pretty good first season there. But all right, man. So
but also you can find at Indiana at the Voice of College Football.
I was gonna say Indiana football at the Voice of College Football, Indiana Hoosiers Live. And that's every Tuesday at 7. So before this show. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Hey Moose, give your score prediction. He's calling us out. Moose is calling us out.
Moose will probably have
give me your score prediction, Moose.
7.
Call your shot, bud.
Yeah. I think I can kind of visualize what his score will be, but
30-9 Michigan.
Yeah. 7. I think 7 point Michigan 7-point Michigan victory. But anyway, there we go. Bringing it back to the early
that looks
1900s.
like traveling fools. That looks like traveling fools when he picks Miami to win 900-0 or whatever.
I was too
generous. And then they end up winning 39-38. Okay.
There we go.
Oh, man, that's
All
funny.
right, Jeffrey. Well, I'm encouraging everyone to stay tuned to the next episode of your show.
Appreciate it.
And thanks as always for being here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for having me come on. And everybody subscribe. I'm sure y'all are to the Michigan channel, but subscribe to the Michigan channel. Like, stream down below, but definitely appreciate if you guys check out the Indiana channel. It's a blast coming on, and hopefully good luck to the Michigan Wolverines.
Hold on, Jeffrey. One thing. First of all, we gained over 22 subscribers to the show, so shout out to everybody for coming to the show. Secondly, go check out Indiana at the Voice of College Football. We got the link, John. We can put that in the chat. Let's build that channel. That is a channel we are looking to grow within the network. I'll find it, John, if you don't have it. Please subscribe. Check out Jeffrey. You guys want to see a good story in terms of Indiana football. Support our friend here. We greatly appreciate his hard work. And I'm gonna put the chat here. Or I'm gonna put the link here in the chat.
I got it.
John, of course, John's a fucking
boom. Boom. Let's go. Let's go.
Way quicker than me.
John and Jackson are the
support our boys. Subscribe to the
Telling
channel. Let's get that channel monetized, guys. We just started that channel a month ago, Jeffrey. So looking forward to it. Let's get our guy monetized.
Subs right now.
Yeah, let's get it there. Let's get that channel monetized and set up our boy. If you're a fan of the Voice of College Football, the network, you're a fan of our show. If you're a fan of our show, you're a fan of the network, please support our boy. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.